Hello, everybody. My name is Veronica Pinel, and today I will be talking about the health risk and assessment of BPA and phthalates. So as an introduction, bisphenol A, BPA, which is a chemical compound that is produced by the condensation of phenol and acetone. It is colorless solid, soluble in organic solvents, but poorly soluble in water. And it is used to make polycarbonate, which is the hard, clear plastic that is used in many consumer products. Also found in epoxy resins, which is the inside lining of metal-based food and beverage cans. And it can also be picked up through air, dust, and water. On the other side, we have phthalates, known as phthalates esters or esters of phthalic acid. It is a diverse family of industrial compounds that are the most widely used plasticizers. They are used to added to plastics to increase their flexibility, transparency, durability, and longevity. And they can also be found in paint, inks, adhesives, floorings, some food products, cosmetics, and pharmaceuticals. We can see the chemical structure of both. On one side is the BPA, which is just one. On the other one, the phthalates, as I mentioned, is a family of different compounds. So we can see 5 different chemical structures. Where are these BPA and phthalates found? Where sadly they are everywhere. The BPA is present in polycarbonated plastics, metal cans, multiple plastic consumers, products like toys, water pipes, drinking containers, eyeglass lenses, sports equipment, dental, medical equipment, and consumer electronics. They have been shown to leach from food and beverage containers and seep into the food we eat. And also people that work in the manufacturer where these products are made can be exposed to BPA. And phthalates are present in many personal care products and cosmetics like deodorant, nail polish, hairspray, shampoo, soap, in plastics like toys and food containers as well, shower curtains, something as common as that, paints, paper coatings, adhesives, medical devices. They're also present in the enteric coat, some pharmaceutical tablets and food and nutritional supplements have. And they, some foods are especially linked to higher levels of phthalates, which are like restaurant, cafeteria, and fast food because of the container and the high fat dairy or fatty meats or cooking oils that interact with the phthalate in the container. What are the health risks of this compound? So BPA, it is said that more than 90% of us have BPA in our bodies today. It can be measured in serum, amniotic fluid, urine, follicular fluid, placental tissue, and umbilical cord blood. It affects the human health effects of BPA and low environmental exposure are still unknown. They have been shown to affect the reproductive systems of laboratory animals, and some CDC scientists have found BPA in urine during multiple tests. It is considered an endocrine disrupting chemical with a weak environmental estrogen that binds to some estrogen receptors. And in some tissues, it has been proven to be effective estradiol in activating cell functions. Phthalates, on the other side, some CDC researchers found measurable levels of many phthalates metabolites in the general population. Phthalates have been very well studied in animal models and have been shown to be anti-androgenic. This means they decrease the action and levels of testosterone. Some studies in humans have found anti-androgenic effects of development of the male reproductive tract, and prenatal exposure can impact children's neurodevelopmental and neurobehavioral outcomes. And they also may alter thyroid function, leading to obesity and overweight among school-age children, and cause also alteration of the respiratory system, leading to allergies and asthma. The main exposure routes for BPA is basically through the diet. The BPA in food and beverage is the majority of daily human exposure. Some small children are exposed by hand to mouth and direct oral contact with materials containing BPA, this meaning especially toys and daily care products. It can also be found in breast milk, and as I mentioned earlier, it can be picked up through air, dust, and water. Phthalates, people are exposed by eating and drinking foods that have contacted products containing phthalates. Some other exposure can occur from breathing phthalates particles in the air. Children also by hand to mouth of phthalates particles in dust, using cosmetics, personal care products, dust from rooms that have carpets, wall coverings, wood finishes, and high risk, especially people receiving transfusion or hemodialysis, the IV tubes are made with phthalates. So exposure routes and models, we can see one model that describes the exposure and the effects of BPA. As mentioned, it is considered an endocrine disruptor chemical. But orally ingested BPA is metabolized in the gut and in the liver to its respective metabolites. And dermally absorbed BPA enters the skin compartment via skin surface depot. And phthalates, we can see two different interconnected submodels for the parent compound and the primary monoester metabolite, which is MEHP. The routes of exposure in this case are inhalation, dermal, and ingestion. Phthalates have toxic effects on the liver, kidneys, and reproductive system, and they act as endocrine disruptors. Who is at risk? So for BPA, the vulnerability changes during the lifespan. Animal studies suggest that infants and children may be the most vulnerable to the effects of BPA when exposed, not only because they can be exposed the most if they have toys or baby care products that have BPA, but because they're in that developing stages. Phthalates affect different groups of people in different ways. Unborn babies and children are the most affected. It is more harmful in males. During puberty, the body changing level leaves them vulnerable to the effects of phthalates, and adult women can have more side effects than men just because adult women tend to use more personal care and cosmetic products. Different strategies or research projects that are happening at the moment quantifying risk. What is the nature of these compounds? BPA is an endocrine disruptor, as I mentioned before, and recent studies are showing some carcinogenic effects, still question mark because it's not really proven, it's just leaning towards that side. It is said that it might affect some cancer's response to therapy. In phthalates, the group of synthetic endocrine disrupting chemicals, and it is also neurotoxic because it is believed that it affects neurodevelopmental and neurobehavioral outcomes. What actions has the government taken against these two compounds? So BPA, the federal government is funding new research into BPA risk. But for now, there are no restrictions on the use of BPA in products. The only step is FDA supports manufacturers who have stopped using it or claim they have stopped using it in the production of their products. And some states or cities did take some local action, and they have laws restricting or banning the sales of certain products containing BPA. Phthalates, the FDA monitors levels in some cosmetic products, and the Congress signing a law or a bill prohibiting children's toys or childcare products containing phthalates. It is called the Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act. It was signed into law in 2008. How can we prevent the exposure? We can use BPA products. Most of them have the BPA-free labels. If they don't have any label that says BPA-free, we can look for the recycling code. If it has recycled code 3 and 7, means it may contain BPA. We need to avoid heating plastic containers. So avoid putting them in the microwave or the dishwasher. Cut back on the use of cans, especially when storing food, and look for alternatives like glass, porcelain, or stainless steel. In phthalates, it is very important to read the labels, the product labels. Avoid any product label that has the legend DHEP or DIBP. When it identified, this means they do have phthalates. Whenever possible, choose labels that says phthalate free. Use only microwave safe and phthalates free containers and plastic wraps, and avoid fast food containers as much as possible. We find some reliable sources when people can look for information regarding BPA and phthalates. The most common is the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, bisphenol BPA. They also have another one that is all about phthalates, which we'll see the link on the next slide. Mayo Clinic has very complete information about BPA, unfortunately not as good as phthalates. And WebMD has both information for BPA and phthalates, as we can see here as well. FDA has also a very good web page with information about phthalates for the public. And that is everything for today. Thank you very much for your attention. You have a good day.